Masculine step into the grand lush ambience in polished shoes, making a firm yet controlled sound against the white marble floor, fully dressed in a expensive suit that is hugging his broad shoulders and chest perfectly along his muscular arm, exuding precision and power. His facile jaw and sharp look with orbs that are dark and focused, surveying the surroundings with a gaze that is placid and but immense. As he stepped further, draping an expensive mantle over his shoulder, its fine fabric sliding effortlessly against his burly arm supplely, and soon his restless pulses come to rest at the scene before him, landing his gaze on a sight that makes the world around him seem to still. His beloved seated gracefully on ornate velvet frame that seemed to pale beside the youth resting upon it, tucking her legs delicately beneath a cascading of soft hair falling over her face sides, eyes half lit in quiet thought of slender fingers subtly stress the pattern carved on a. There is an air of fascination about her, or a natural quality that make her seem like an art perfectly at ease with feathery features unbothered by any hint of harshness along rosy lips, holding a natural blush, utterly unaware of the intensity of the stare now sealed upon her. Her long lashes fall over her cheeks as she remained engrossed in marvelous thoughts, awaiting for his well-being arrival, not knowing the man had already engulfed her in his shadow. There is something undeniable, captivating about the way Aries sat almost in her unawareness, exuding a kind of purity that is unreached by the darker world beyond the walls of this mansion. For a moment the man lingers there, rooted on place where he was, as if unwilling to break the spell of the scene before him or disturbing the tranquility of his, though this sooth steps ahead. The soft curve of her cheek that is rounded subtly along the blush of warmth, coloring the friendless mood of stuffed cheeks with a certain reverence in the way her fear is appearing. Dominant male stand motionless, gazing at the flutter of thin lashes as if it's echoing within him deeply, that feels as though it is his alone witness. The softness in Eluding's is calm, making the entire world fogged away, leaving just her with peace and serenity. Soon Rupert stepped ahead with unhurried steps. Deliberate footsteps echo through the grand hall with each step he takes further, increasing the sound of heavy footfalls near beauty with placidness. Crystal eyes soften slightly as Airy lifts her gaze to meet the deep arms like a subtle tremor, feeling an instant rest that spread across her features, deepening her hue that rise from her ears to face, carrying stars within her eyes. Intently she rose from the couch with a gentle poise to engulf further into the alpha scent of mentor before her, decreasing the distance between, placing the heavy footsteps of Oneshot to the feathery yet slow one of her. Prestine tilted her head slightly to gaze up at the tall imposing frame that looms above her, standing silently, surely to whom her lips curve is like repose, or a vision of elegance so opposed from the massive hardness of yet there is no mistaking to bless frail, immense, dominant beingness her small smile carries over. I was restlessly yearning for your arrival. I have made dinner with my own hand for you. She delicately speaks, and at those words the vulnerable, filled with passion, stared away the ruggedness, including his each control, like a beacon in the shadows of enforcer maid. Observing her each gesture, grating and flutter in the core of frail being who blink again under the weight of devotional gaze upon her. I'll organize the rest when you will head afterwards, getting adorned by unwavering intensity that trace her gentle furrow of brows to subtle hue. My tenderness seeps through the hardened exterior to his before breaking the silence of surrounding once again by his resonant low voice. He calmly stated, receiving softness that spread across the serene feature of his beloved mode, who soon turned mesmerizingly. Alluring's eyes illuminates incantingly by the glow embracing her face, giving tranquil atmosphere and catching the lights of lampshades. Even the way her hair falls over her face is a sight of natural delicacy that plays off the contours of her charm. barely making any sound of her light steps against the marble, swaying her dress with each act before walking further into mansion's expanse, leaving me resilient, who after her disappearance turns toward the way ahead with a calm measured voice, severing the quietude of heavy footsteps. Resonant stepped down from the grand staircase. As he descended, his gaze landed on his beloved, seated silently at the dining table with her one hand resting lightly on the edge of the table, her face leaned on her elbow that is resting against her glass surface beneath, wearing a simple, elegant dress in white color amidst the darkness of Manta's world, like a symbol of everything pure and untarnished that has vowed to protect. A faint smile played on her lips, illuminating her features under the lights that casting faint shadow over her cheeks with a hint of dreamy expression in her eyes. Theirs is a treasure to the way she had holds herself with loosely fall of her strands around forehead as the men stand at the foot of staircase just beholding her before stepping further, ascending quiet tremors through the vast hall, hearing the deep thud of footsteps. Harry left her lies from far off. Eluding head tail just enough to let few loose strands of hair crescent over her ears. The sight of men approaching near with each step brings a flush to her face, while the gaze of Ulster remains over her with intent, as if nothing else exists for him except the one who is dear to him seated before. As he stepped closer, the hard edges of his gaze began to stir, as if a storm that always raged within him come to burn, easing his hard line a bit with a warmth reserved for no one else. Man pulled out an ornate seat with a controlled aura as he settles dominantly in a measured mannerism, wrapping the coat over empty hard dress next to him as he leaned back, never leaving the sinless eyes of delicate as if she is the anchor in the weathered life of his. When soon lured, leaned forward, reaching out to serve the meal with graceful manner, carrying a silent promise of ardor for the regal near. Her fingers grasp the silver serving, scooping the warm dish with care before setting into the plate with a subtle joy on her lips that comes from her passionate acts. Sensitive heart flutters, skipping a few beats as the weight of man's gaze upon each gesture that wrapped around her like an embrace, making pristine praise by it, feeling as though this stare reaches beyond her appearance, delving into the core of her deeply. And soon she sits back, looking at the enforcer, who noticed the vulnerability in her eye, full a softness that is nowhere to be found, ever filled with shimmer and pearls. A desire not for praise, but for him to treasure her depth of affection and the passion she had poured into it, her zeal eyes silently impacting the chest of fearsome male with something achingly tending, and the way she looks in the orbs as if she has laid bare a piece of her heart for him, revealing the part of her that is engulfed under the shadow of man. The light in divine eyes reflect a sentiment that she has, that she feels as a kind of fragile hope that will remain for the rest as repose of stout one. Her silent testament is a gem to keep awaken a warmth in the ardent chest of rug placidly. There is a part of mentor that wants to reassure her or to let her know that he sees or praise her each slightest act, to show her zealness to him by frail innocent effort. Just then his immense hand moves with calmness as he brings the fork to his mouth near its taste. Its state is witness to all she infused into it. Before men gaze at her, trailing over her features, reading out everything raw, the way her eyes sparkle with hope, to the soft, gentle curve of her lips as she watches him with an overwhelmed surge of emotions, as the silence stretches between, allowing depth of deep orbs to make her flush fairly. "How is it?" she asked in low, honey tone, and expressive round eyes, parting her lips slightly to let those words escape incantingly. "All expect of your reserved accolades." The deep voice of his echo in the spacious, silent area, bringing smile over rosy pair of divine girl. It's a smile that says more than words ever could, as she blinks slowly with the reality of regal devotion, washing over her in waves. The rosy hue spread across her cheeks, a delightful flush that betrays the shyness she often tries to conceal. Each glance man offers to her feels like a warm caress for her being. The intensity of a miniature stare holds her captive and she feels cherished under it. The warmth radiating from her cheeks ripens further. It is a revelation that fills her with both humility and appreciation, drawn by an affection making her her phrase. In the unforgiving world Ulster rule, there is nothing that can hold his keen gaze, or nothing that can distract him from the groovy that constant threat of danger. Yet when this pearly form is near, everything else fogged away, becoming and blur as if world conspired to draw his focus solely on her. Her presence is a solace, staring through the relentless lead and darkness that permeates his life, even the coldness of his surroundings. All of it come to halt in the delicate of daring where only sadness reigns. The barriers Regal has built yearns to secure, and he yearns to keep that innocence for eternities, or a primal surge to shield her in his steely slow, to keep her far from any slightest taint, even as a devoted protector of world sanctuary and peace, to ensure that it remains permanent soothe in her life, untouched by world mafia inhabits. The mafia step inside grand entrance of his mansion. The heavy wooden door shut behind him with a gentle thud, wearing blazer over his suit as beneath the weight of his coat his broad shoulder remained tense as his polished shoes echo through the silent hall. Underneath the fabric, a dark stain slowly spread against the plain shirt, tracing path of the deep wound hidden beneath his ribs. His relentless pulse etched as he continues his path ahead with measured steps as he nears the leather brown couch, the dull throb of his wound threads. Underneath the fabric, yet his face remains an unreadable mask, betraying none of the agony coursing through his shoulder. He appears as composed as ever, as though pain is merely a routine of his life, like something he is mastered to witness long ago, as he lowers himself onto the couch with controlled movement. His heavy hand rests on the arm of the side, while other one lies against his barely parted thigh, as if the act of sitting down after suffering such an injury is simply another task in his line of work. Soon his hand reaches up to the collar of blazer, grasping the edge of it, pulling it off his broad frame in fluid, revealing the thick bandage tightly around his upper bulk of arms, rugged skin that is already stained crimson, supplies muscles stretched within his as they strain against the sting of pain. The contours are prominent, etched deeply into his skin from years of hard-earned strength and authority. He leans back against his head against the backrest as the leather creaks under his weight, molding to the powerful line of his frame as he stretches his thick legs out before him, pressing his heavy shoes over the floor when, in few whiles, the heavy silence shattered by the faintest sound. It's a low, delicate rustle, yet it reaches a ear, tightening the chest of Mafia, a sensation that had nothing to do with the physical pain from arm. It's something deeper, making him shift his gaze, moving from distant corner to the source of gentle noise where in doorway stands his beloved. Freya's presence is piercing, even as though edge of ambience seems to fill the space with a warmth that the mansion's grand opulence could never provide. Those glossy eyes, divine eyes, hold a reflection of sadness and worry. This sight spears him harder than any bullet. It is not the seams burned to torn or ripped into the damage, but it's a hurt of altogether one that presses him further, sealing, appearing with unshed tears, staring at him with sudden concern. The light of surrounding catches the moisture in her eyes, making them sparkle. Alluring began to move, whispering her dress softly, shortening the distance with each step with sadness that seemed almost drenching. Soon he stood near the edge with her breath trembling as she takes in the heart-wrenching scene before her luminous gaze. Her breath trembled as she takes in the sight of Elder's heavy arm wrapped in white thick cloth, as her lips pressed together and brow frowned so slightly when a single tear kept gliding down the soft curve of her cheek along her pearly tear, a pang that stabbed deeply, cutting through Mafia's chest. Mentor watches delicate who sits there on the ornate edge, but there is a softness yet concern in her divine eyes, a kind of innocence that spears deeper than anything else. To rugged, pristine knows her defender lives in the shadows, whose path is paved with danger as she takes a low breath. In words, the mafia remains silent to feel the weight of her worry and accept that it is a part of his life as real as the crimson that stains his arm for now at this moment. Captivating tears may pang his stout chest, but they also remind him of why he fights, of what he is trying to protect. Even if that secureness means enduring the edge of any damage, knowing well he has become the part of turmoil from years of controlling and rudeness. Frail one's eyes traces the line where the fabric stretches over the bulk of man's tricep that is hardened by life of battles. Feeble hand raised in air with a quiet determination in desire to offer some comfort or warmth to a thrice man, and with a gentleness that almost break her heart, her slender fingers inch closer until they hover just above the wire tightened cloth, lowering her hand onto Bradley's side. Her touch is feathery light, brushing against the rough texture with tenderness, spreading a subtle hilt outward as her plain rest over. Let me fetch something for this, Taehyung. She sniffed slightly before about to leave, but her timid breast come in hold of Accor's hand of mafia. Just stay here, that's what it desired to ease. The deep voice of Mafia echoed against the watched opulent interior, his delicate blink her lashes before settling into couch near Mafia with vulnerable gaze and gentle rest of her hand over muscular arm. Man's roughened hand moves with a quiet deliberation towards snowy tear-streaked cheek of beloved, grazing the petal-like skin with tenderness as if his heart can somehow brace her delicate softness. Some said that his coarse and clasped from years of gripping metallic stuff now moves slowly. The rough pad of thumb finds a stray tear that clings to her ethereal skin. With a careful precision, he wipes it away, determined to erase not just the tear itself but the sadness that caused it and bring a faint edge to his stoic chest marked by harsh realities. Those pearly eyes of yours not meant to shed tears but to glisten with serenity and joy. He resonated before his thumb, making one last gentle pass over her velvety cheeks, sweeping away the final traces of pearls, grazing at her slow blinks that are almost like hypnotic. Receiving a small nod from alluring by the slight tip of her head as she stared into murky observed defender near before again glancing to her hand that is resting lightly over the strengthful stretch of mafia with softness and care in the way her treasury eyelids lowered and rise again.